All right, so I wanted to talk to you guys today a little bit about tuition rates because, right, so we're almost at 2025. We all know that. And I saw something come up in Pennsylvania. And so we have what's called the maximum child care subsidy rates, right? This is the amount that they are going to reimburse us for, the max amount that they will reimburse us for. And so let me give you an example. So if you receive subsidy in your child care program and they pay for a preschool child $35 per day, and this child gets subsidy, then the max that subsidy will pay you is $35. We're not even talking about the add-on for quality and all of that stuff. So this is if you accept subsidy payments for your children in your child care program. That's just the example of that, right? So that's what just came about in my state in Pennsylvania. They just let us know that they were going to be raising the max amount that they will pay child care business owners. And so I'm sure that this definitely made childcare business owners think about, okay, where do my rates sit? Now, is that best practice? It's not necessarily best practice because the one thing I did want to point out, I talk about it a lot, especially in my program, that we really need to make sure that our tuition rates are based on our true cost of care, at least, right? Because if it costs us $30 per day to care for a preschool child, we need to know that it costs that much. Because what if we are charging families $25 a day? We're literally losing, right? So we really, really need to be clear about how much does it really cost us to care for a child. We're not just talking about all children. We are talking about each individual child by age group. That means if you have infants, how much does it cost you to care for an infant? If you have young toddlers, how much does it cost for you to care for young toddlers, and so forth and so on. We do need to get specific with that. It's not something everyone talks about. I do believe in my state we talk about it. Does everyone necessarily know how to calculate it? Maybe not. Don't worry though. Don't worry. But this conversation is about tuition rates from a number of different perspectives. And so I wanted to give this example because I truly think that it raised some of our attention to say, wait a minute, are our rates set properly? And I wanted to talk about, where are your rates? Have you had the same rates for 4 years, three, since the pandemic, pre-pandemic? And have you taken a look at the increase in your expenses? I know that food has went up a lot. And so maybe you have the food program, maybe you do not. But if you really have had the same tuition rates and you have had expenses go up, and I don't know about you, but it seems like the majority of staff have asked for an increase. And so I know that my payroll expenses have gone up. I know that my rent has gone up, property taxes has gone up, food costs again has gone up, right? A lot of things have increased and inflation is real. So all of those things have increased. So if our tuition rates, that which we charge families, has not increased, then at some point, either we will not have sustainable businesses or we actually will not be able to stay in business, nor will we be able to have a profit. So that's why I'm like, well, we haven't hit January yet. And not to say that you will raise your rates in January, but it is something to think about because I know that as we approach the end of this year, I'm going to be getting my tax return soon. And it will be very clear about the amount of money that we brought in revenue. It will also show us if we have had a profit or if we are operating at a loss. And if that is the case, we don't want to be comfortable with operating at a loss for so long, because again, that is an indicator that we are not sustainable businesses. So that is one. Think about, where are my tuition rates? How long has it been since I've changed them? Do me a favor and do this quick exercise. You can't do December bank statement, but you can look at November's bank statement. You can look at October's bank statement just to get an idea how much were my expenses by the month, how much were my expenses for October, November, and then how much revenue did I bring in? That right there tells you, okay, month by month, am I operating at a loss or a profit? Do I have money that helps me move into the next month where I have money left over or no? I truly remember when, we were trying to make it to payroll to payroll. Did we make it? We made it. Sometimes we made it by the penny. There were times when I was calculating payroll and I'm like, Mom, you and I, we can't get paid this time because when I calculated it, we have about 8 cents left over when we pay all the staff. I literally know what that looks like, right? But that was the point when I was like, you know what, we can't continue to operate this way. And so we really, really looked into diversifying our funding. Am I saying that is easy? I am not. I'm just saying that as we look at our finances, it starts to tell us a story. And this video is really all about what story are your numbers telling you? All right. So I was telling you about our state. They are raising our maximum childcare reimbursement rates. And so again, that means this is the max amount that they will pay for a child. Now, the reason they call it maximum is because if I am charging $35 for a preschool child and they are paying a maximum of $40, but I tell them I'm paying up to $35, they're not going to pay me the $40, right? Like I'm going to show you the chart. Let me show you the chart of what I'm talking about. This is an example. Now, everyone does not have this by the state because many of you are from different states. And so I am aware of that, but I want you to just use this as an example as to what's going on out here. All righty. So this, I know it may be confusing. It may be confusing. Let me try to see if I can highlight. Let me see if I can highlight. So this is an example of what we have going on in our state right now. So I'm going to highlight the space that is applicable to Philadelphia County. So let me tell you what this is saying. So they released this to us, letting us know, here is the max amount that we are going to pay. Now I want you to look here. So this is for a center. So if you are operating a center, and look up here at the top, let me see if I can highlight that as well. Infants, right? So for an infant, the max that they will pay for an infant who is enrolled at a center is $67.83 per day. Now, we are business owners, right? We're CEOs. And so this is the numbers game. This is a numbers game, right? And so this right here does not say that we're operating from the love that we have for children. We have to have it. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm saying is when we start looking at numbers, this is a business game, right? We love the children, we love the families, but numbers don't lie. All right. Okay. So for infants, $67.83 is how much they will pay max for an infant per day. Right. And so typically infants are, and this is full-time rate. This isn't part-time. We're going to talk full-time. So $67.83. I'm going to multiply that by 5. They will pay up to $339.15. If I said, well, let me look at my rates say that I charge $55 per day. If I charge $55 per day for an infant, that means I'm charging $275, which means that even though they will pay more, they're not going to because my rate says I don't charge that much. What am I saying? I'm showing you an example of the maximum. So this is a report. This is what they're telling us. All good, right? That's fine. Great. Thank you so much. You're letting us know you're raising the rates. We all say how we don't get paid enough, and we don't. What I want to make sure is that you know how to take a look at your business numbers, calculate them, and make a decision. In looking at this, let's use someone who is not charging up to $67.83 cents per child. Would it behoove you to take a moment to calculate how much it is really costing you to care for a child? I think it does. And let me give you an example. Say right now you're charging $55 because you, as the owner, are not really getting paid what you should be getting paid. What if you added in your actual salary that you should be getting paid? Do you think you would charge a higher tuition rate? I think so. If you were to go back and calculate all of your food expenses, how much it is really costing you, and you added that in, if you went in to really calculate how many hours you work per day, or how many, when you are actually going out and shopping for the food, when you are looking and looking for supplies and you are shopping around, when you are calculating all of the time that you are using in your business, if you are adding in, so say you have a home program and say you're not necessarily calculating in how much your water bill has gone up, like, are you literally including into your tuition rates your true expenses? That is the question, right? So I really just want to say, if you did anything when you walked away from this, I'm saying take some time to calculate your true expenses. How much is it really costing you? There are formulas, there's ways that you can truly calculate how much it costs you so that you can say, you know what, I have really been undercharging. Aaliyah, are you saying that I am supposed to raise my rates by $20 per day? I'm not making that decision for you. But what I am looking to do is empower you to know what your actual numbers are so that as you're charging your tuition rates, they are real. And they are not just based on the fact that you went online and you researched how much someone was charging at the local childcare program. It's right. Like, we can't do that anymore. So because down the street is charging $25 a day, it doesn't mean that I compete with them and I also charge $25 a day. No, we can't do that because my teacher has a bachelor's degree. Their teacher has a high school diploma. I'm not saying one is better than the other. I'm saying a lot of times teachers who have degrees and experience, they want to get paid more, rightfully so. And so my costs are more expensive. My building that I'm sitting in is very expensive. I had a employee today who came in and she's coming back to work after maternity leave, and she did have her child. She had her child here. We do give an employee discount. And so she had another child, and now she's just like, listen, it is really, really expensive. Can we work on the amount that I have to pay? And listen, when I tell you, please, you can talk to my staff. My staff, I treat them well, and I give as many benefits as possible. We hustled to pay for health insurance, dental insurance. We have employee discounts. We have short-term disability. We have paid time off, sick time, tuition reimbursement. We have a lot of things, and we just raised our rates. And so at the time that we raised her rate, she had taken her son out. So now she has another child. And she's like, listen, is there any way you can reduce it even more? We already were at 50%. And I'm just like, I can't go any lower. I can't, because here's what I have to look at. Numbers don't lie. And so if you look at each classroom as a small business, if you have classrooms, right? This is for someone who has classrooms. Some people may have mixed age groups, and either way, if you look at your program, if you have like a mixed age group and say you're a family or group, it may not be the same. But an easy example is someone who, I don't care if you have 2 classrooms. Each classroom is kind of like a small business. How much does it cost you to pay for the employees, right? So if you have one employee who makes $40,000, the other one makes $25,000, right? We know what their annual salary is. What are their benefits and yes, their benefits and taxes. And then you have the materials and the supply, right? That classroom has costs as well. And so when you have, say, a preschool class in Pennsylvania, you can have a max of 20, depending on the size of the room. If I calculate how much money I can bring in if I am full with 20, that needs to exceed the expenses of that room. And so if I'm already holding this spot for you, and I have already given you a 50% discount, and now you want more, I can't afford to do that, because now I really do want to help you. And I've already, honestly, we increased the rate, but we kept it the same for her. So technically, it was more than a 50% discount. So I say that to say, I definitely, it's case by case, but we have to run the numbers. We really, really have to be clear. So I showed you that example. I'm going to show you something that in my 6-month childcare CEO success program, I go through this really detailed spreadsheet I put together. And this is how deep at times this can get. So there's a number of different funding sources, right? So these were our older numbers. And I pretty much put this spreadsheet together because I wanted to see, well, how much were we charging at one point, right? You can see my age groups here, full-time, part-time rate. This was actually the max subsidy rates that they were paying. And then I wanted to see the difference between their rate and our rate. And then here was our private pay, right? If you had a parent who wasn't getting subsidy, they were paying $52 per day instead of the $49.40, right? We were charging more than they were paying. But then we are a high quality program. So we get an add-on, which means, yes, subsidy is paying $52, but because I'm a high quality program, I actually get paid $62.60. So we're well above the max rate. And this is also based on our true cost of care. So I also wanted to see, well, what's the difference? And so we were above and beyond. I also have on here our quality add-ons, right? I want to know all the numbers, right? I did it by site. I looked at, we also had CACFP, right? This was the 21, 22 numbers. So I really wanted to look at how much money can we really get reimbursed? I believe, yes. And this is by high quality rating 2, 3, and 4. All of this is numbers. This is all playing with numbers. And so I put in here the new numbers that they just shared because I want to see, well, what was the increase? So I found that I showed you the $67.83 for infants. They increased the max reimbursement rate 13% for centers. So this is what they had done, right? All of this is numbers, playing with numbers to make sure that our rates are actually correct. Right. And these are the type of things that I really want to help childcare business owners be able to do. How are you running your business? Are we really looking at the numbers? Are the tuition rates based on true cost of care? Are the tuition rates including an ability for you to be profitable? Are we really clear about what the okay, so we have capacity, right? So you might have a capacity. One of my sites is 59. My smaller site has a capacity of 59. We are 87% full there. And so that means that we're losing money each week that we don't have full capacity. But I need to know those numbers, and I'm always having conversations with my director about, excuse me, what are we doing to increase that enrollment number? What is going on? Right. And so we have a strategy. We are working a strategy, but all of those things are based on numbers. And so I wanted to really talk about tuition because as we approach this new school year, we can really have a fresh perspective of what's happening in my program, looking at our expenses, looking at our revenue potential. What do we need to do to get there? I'll give you an example. We have opportunity, we have space to grow our school age program. That is lost potential, meaning we have the space for them, but we're not full. So we are looking at a strategy to actually bring in more school age children so that we can increase our revenue. That is an opportunity for us because we're not fully enrolled there. And so as we look at our tuition rates, those are good. They're based on our cost of care. They are above the max because those new rates that I showed you will go in effect January. So I want to make sure even our providers in Pennsylvania that they are looking at those numbers, making sure, well, do I need to increase my rates? Because that's lost money for me to undercut myself. And that's what happens. We undercut ourselves. And then when we do that, even when we want to operate a quality program, it's hard to do that because we don't have enough money to do it. And so by not having the right tuition rates, we are really cutting into our opportunity to run a sustainable business, for us to actually run a quality program, and it really impacts our ability to have a profit. And so that's what I wanted to talk to you about. I didn't have anything else. I wanted to make sure I didn't have anything else that I needed to share so that you could take a look at it. But so I really just want to encourage you to evaluate your tuition rates. 2025 is coming up. What would you like to happen? Would you like to offer your staff more benefits, right? I remember wanting to offer, we raised our rates so that we could offer staff benefits so that I could recruit higher caliber staff, right? So I knew that I wouldn't be able to hire and sustain bachelor's degree teachers, master's degree teachers, because I didn't have health insurance. And so if another employer was offering health insurance, I couldn't compete. So what are your goals for next year? Is it to pay yourself? Is it to have a higher salary for yourself? Is it to be able to give your staff a bonus? So I would also say evaluate, right? I said that was the first thing. Evaluate your current rates. Evaluate your actual expenses. Are they aligned, or do adjustments need to be made? And then what goals do you have for 2025? And depending on those goals, are the tuition rates that you are charging, will they help you get there? I think that's enough homework. I think that's enough homework. Because I just want you to think about those things. I am going to be talking so much more about preparing for 2025 and thriving in 2025. And so I'm starting these conversations now so that I can find out, what do you need? What are you struggling with? I absolutely, absolutely am looking to have more of you in my community. And so I'm so excited. I've already had my 6-month Childcare CEO Success Program. If you're interested in that, that spreadsheet that I showed you is literally from the program. I walk everyone through, that's a client of mine. I walk them through that. Let's look at your rates. Let's get you very clear on what your actual cost of care is and how can we increase your actual tuition rates if you choose to. Again, and I'm not saying next week send out a letter and say I'm raising rates. We have to be smart about it. We also have to communicate with our families what's going on. And so there's messaging too that we have to have happening so that we're letting families know you're in a high quality program. The staff here, they are educated. The staff have been here for 5 years, 8 years, 10 years. This one just graduated. Let's celebrate. They constantly hear all the things that are happening, that they understand why you had to raise your rates. I'm not saying that they can afford it. I'm not saying they can afford it every single time. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying, as a business and as a CEO, we have to be so clear on our numbers that we're constantly telling a story to our stakeholders, to our families. This is the type of program that you're in. We're professional, we are high quality, we are educated, we're knowledgeable, and we're running a real business here. And people respect it. People respect it. So yeah, I just want to encourage you to prepare for the new year. Make sure that you're talking to families. You want to retain the ones that you have. So no, you don't want to scare people off or undercut people so that they leave. So all of this has to be strategic, and you don't have to do it alone. You don't have to do it alone. So even outside of my 6-month program, I have a brand new community starting in January. So things like this isn't a master class, but I do master classes where we pick a topic, I teach on it for an hour, you have Q&A, and you have a community where you can ask questions, be in space where there's other childcare business owners, and we would do it each month because I want to keep you in the know. I have experts that's ready to come and join us on the call. Do you want to talk about AI in childcare? Do you want to talk about money? Right? We were just talking about that. We didn't even talk about budgeting. Do you want to talk about staffing? Do you want to talk about marketing, systems, all the things? And so I'm so excited. That starts in January. It's really, really, really affordable. When I say I created each program to really meet the needs of childcare business owners from every level. Okay. And so I keep saying this, no one is coming to save us, right? When I say that, I mean, there's no one who's rushing to say, you know what, we really need to help them, right? We hope that they will, but a lot of times they're not coming to do that. And so here's something I heard a couple of times. A staff person just told me this today. A parent told me this yesterday. And I know there's a couple of other families that's looking to enroll their children into private preschool programs next school year. So they're basically saying they want their children to prepare for going to school by going to the actual school they want them to go to, right? So if they want them to go to this private school for kindergarten through 8th grade, they want to enroll them early so that they can get a spot, and they want to prepare them. What I heard was that I'm going to have some turnover in enrollments next year. So I'm about to strategize on that. So those are the type of things that as things come up, I want to make sure that you're in the know. So let me know how this resonated with you. What's going on with your tuition rates? Have you not changed them in years? No judgment. It's really a question. This is all about awareness. I just want you to be aware, and I want you to be prepared. That is it. So let me know your thoughts. What questions came up? What concerns? Are you like, Aaliyah, stop. That sounds good. It's not going to work. Like, I'm very realistic. I really want to hear from you. But I also know, I know, right? Nothing that I share or teach you is something that I haven't done. And I'm not saying everything fits, but I do know that sitting back and just saying it's not going to work is not going to work, because the rest of the world is moving. They are moving and they are strategizing. They're making things happen. And so are we, because we're childcare CEOs. And the only way they can go to work, right? Walmart is operating with a lot of people coming to work because we are caring for their children. I know that. So I'm not going to hold you. I actually have date night tonight with the hubby, so I have to go. I will talk to you.